Manya has come back again.
Are we gonna have to drop this because of
please,
like technical difficulties? Hello, welcome back.
Hello. Yeah, you could use the wreath around the Manya goblin. Is that supposed to be a goblin thing? Is that what that character is there?
Yes, that's a goblin.
Okay. So I would want to know if it's truly a moon, or we have a double planet. That's a concern. And really it's sort of like, where's the pivot point? Where are they orbiting like Pluto, Charon, a spot in between them, or is it really big, big planet, small moon? That'll be interesting. And of course, we should say both of them have stuff, but yeah, kudos for that. And of course, Betelgeuse, we think we have a definitive image of the companion star to Betelgeuse. It looks pretty strong. The worry is whether or not the image processing to find it was so good that it basically created an artifact. So they'll say, try it again in a year or two and see if it moves.
They can.
Can you hear us?
I checked. They can. Hello, everybody.
Yeah. Hello.
This is the most.
Okay.
The most professional stream on YouTube right here. I checked. Yes. They can.
I'll drink.
Hello, everybody.
Manya's a professional. This is a Ionic liqueur.
Hello.
This is the most.
Okay. Betelgeuse.
The most professional stream on YouTube right here. I checked.
So Dapper.
I'll drink.
Hello, everybody.
Manya's a professional. This is a Ionic liqueur.
Hello.
I want to point out we can now hear this is the most Manya's stream.
So.
Hello.
So, Dapper, with your knowledge of Arabic, because Betelgeuse is an Arabic name, or do you do? Because the Arabs won't say Beetlejuice. It's not.
I mean, it's derived from an Arabic name, but also whether you use a G sound or a J sound is actually dependent on dialect. So yeah, actually, Beetlejuice. The J is also fine in Arabic because those are basically the same sound, and which one you pronounce it depends. Like, is camel Gamal or Jamal? There's no right answer. It's both.
But Dapper's not a linguist.
Yeah, the fact that I took Arabic in college does not make me a linguist. Give you this time.
It's with Canadian. Oh yeah, I'm just an everyday, average, normal, emotional support Canadian filling in for a goblin.
Much appreciated.
Yes.
Okay, I'll try and see if I can come through my OBS. If anyone
live in the land of the dingly bits.
What are we doing here? What's our first thing? You were, yeah. That's why I filled in so there wasn't too much dead air.
Danny introduced themselves.
Yeah.
Dapper?
Yes, Danny did introduce himself.
Is Manya just quiet?
I'm sorry, everyone. This is a very chaotic stream. We need Chesh back.
So you heard the other voice you heard was Dapper, and
Yeah.
I am ICE must be abolished person.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes, but we
Okay.
couldn't before too. So
Okay, this is better. I think so. I'm coming through OBS now, so I think that's what's happening. So I'm sorry, guys. Please forgive me. Chesh is going to kill
so
me.
much chaos
Ask
happening
the
right
chat.
now.
Do you
Check.
hear the
Eh.
person who is allegedly in Australia? Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. No worries, guys.
Allegedly.
Everything's fine. Oh my god. Oh yeah.
This is all
Okay,
just
so everyone
perfectly normal.
normal? Okay,
Ice.
cool. I'll just quickly yeah. Everything's fine. Everything's fine, guys. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Hey, hi.
And professional.
Yes, professional. Very, very professional. Sorry, Danny. It's your first time here and it's chaos. Okay.
I don't
All
know
right.
anything about producing shows, so don't
Not a
worry. I
single
would
thing.
never know that
Danny
things were going wrong.
Danny has never produced a show.
So usually Chesh uses vMix. I use OBS because I don't have vMix. So, all right, cool. So thank you everyone for coming on Debate Hub today. And if you caught up to my reaction stream yesterday, I reacted to Daria's interview about her mom. And I thought it was a good segue to start from there with our first topic that we have, which is, give me a sec. I'm now looking for my
Asylum
notes.
seekers?
Obviously, that's what I'm trying to do. Huh?
Yeah, it says asylum seekers, Washington Post. Asylum seekers could be sent directly to deportation court under new rule for those that are listening and not
Watching.
watching.
Yeah, just give me 1 second. I'm trying to look for my.
I do
Okay.
want to point out something about the framing of this, which is to say, there is no such thing as a deportation court. They are immigration courts. Deportation court is an Orwellian move by the Trump administration to rename what this service is, just like when they started advertising that they were looking for new deportation judges, which is also not a title. What they were advertising for was new judges for the immigration courts, which are called immigration judges. And they are not part of the normal judicial branch in the United States. They are, in fact, a special kind of judge under the executive branch that is in charge of trying to have immigration court proceedings go through so that they do not gum up the works of like regular criminal courts. But yeah, calling it a deportation court or deportation judges is in fact Trump's own little Orwellian renaming scheme, just like when he decided to say that the Department of Defense is now just called the Department of War as a nickname, as a little cute little thing.
Okay, yeah. So if I start reading the article, jumping on what Dapper said, asylum seekers could be sent directly to deportation court under new rule, and as Dapper pointed out, it's not deportation court. I don't know why Washington Post is using that term, but it's immigration court. And it further says the Trump administration rule, which took effect immediately, maybe that's why now it's called a deportation court, could transfer nearly 450,000 cases to immigration judges who could dismiss the asylum petitions. And get your first, what the hell, go away. So this is what the issue was, that Daria's mom, she applied asylum. And she was taken into custody at airport while she was traveling domestically. And I think so that's what's happening here, is that now, because of this new rule, the immigration officers or ICE officers, whoever they are, we don't know who they are, in fact, are now going around just grabbing people who have had asylum applications in. But my other thing is, how are they prioritizing this? How are they deciding who to take into detention? That was one of my main questions yesterday, that what criteria or what filtration method they're using to decide which asylum seeker is going to go into custody or will be taken into custody and will be transferred to various facilities across the United States. And as we
It's-
read, yeah, go on. Sorry.
I mean, I would say they don't care. You have
No.
you have people, many of which are Proud Boys and other insurrectionist pieces of shit that don't give a damn what the law is. They just want their quota, and so they're grabbing people that are easy to grab. They act as cowards by not revealing who they are. And they don't care as long as they're not inconvenienced, because they don't want to show their faces because people might say mean things about them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but do you expect them to not be cowards? They're literally led by like Captain Bonespurs.
It's true.
And it further says the Trump administration launched a plan Tuesday. So this was written on July 16th, July 28th, actually, sorry. And so the same week, if I'm not wrong, the Trump administration launched a plan Tuesday to channel hundreds of thousands of asylum seekers directly into deportation proceedings, a change that some attorneys said could lead to people being removed from the United States without a hearing. So I think so this is a very dangerous precedent that is being set, and Daria's mom, I really hope her mom does not get caught in this. I really, really hope. And it also further says Trump officials introduced a rule designed to reduce 1.4 million asylum cases pending in U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS. We saw this term came up a lot yesterday when I was reacting to Daria's interview. The Department of Homeland Security, DHS agency that process immigration applications by nearly a third. The rule took effect immediately before the public could weigh in. So public is not allowed to weigh in. Your congressmen, your senators, they are not allowed to weigh in. And the rule is being, is being just thrown in. And yes, Chesh, I can see that the AI Spanish tutor, and I'm just like, what the fuck? The ad for that just popped up on this. I don't know what's going on with Washington Post website. I don't know, seriously. And then it goes on, in the past, asylum seekers who entered the U.S. legally or were never charged with an immigration violation had the opportunity to apply for refuge in an office before a trained asylum officer. The officer could refer them to immigration court for removal proceedings if they were rejected, or allowed them to continue proceedings and potentially get on path to obtaining U.S. citizenship. Under the new rule, officials say as many as 4,044,724 cases could be transferred directly to one of the Justice Department's immigration judges. So it's not deportation court, it's still immigration court, and it looks like we still have
And
immigration
the Justice
judges.
Department does not have judges. They are the executive branch.
Yeah.
These a-holes swore an oath to uphold the Constitution. Why don't they read the damn document? It's not that long. It's not that hard.
Look,
No, it's not.
You got to understand, Landon. You're not dealing with the brightest of people, right? Like, this whole asylum case wouldn't even have to exist if he had just ended the war between Russia and Ukraine before he was even elected, like he said. But unfortunately, we have somebody leading the country who can't even negotiate with his left hand and his right hand long enough to stop him shoving burgers into his face. If he switched his orange face paint for purple, he would be shaped like Grimace.
That's true. Grimace has better hair, though.
Yeah.
So the Trump officials' excuse, if I might say, is that they have said in a statement that the rule is necessary because the asylum system is facing a crisis. So because they're not able to handle the applications that are coming in, the asylum seekers should suffer. In their opinion, that's an okay thing to happen. My thing is that I get it if it's like regular applications such as looking for student visas, work visas, even tourist visas. You want to slash those because your department is facing crisis, that is fine. But asylum and refuge seekers, that is a very serious matter. You cannot just on a whim slash the number of applications coming in just because you can't handle it. Get more sources. Stop making cuts to government agencies, you fucking idiots, right? Stop making cuts to governmental agencies, or transfer You can transfer employees from other agencies or other departments to help you out with these applications. But no. We are not going to do that. We are going to make people who are most vulnerable, who are asylum seekers, suffer for it. Absolutely ridiculous, in my opinion. Then,
I mean, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But there is also a counterpoint, which is there's a reason that the Department of Justice and basically the entire federal government is currently having to beg lawyers to show up, because working for the federal government right now has gone from a prestigious thing that you would take a pay cut for to a black mark on your resume for lawyers. So
Yeah.
like, they're not going to get too many applicants who are like, yes, I would absolutely love to work for what the administration is calling deportation court. Because no, you wouldn't. Because what are you going to do for your next job? Nothing. No one's going to want to hire you. So which is a problem of their own making, to be fair, right? Like, they've gutted every single lawyer's office.
yes. And it's already difficult for the asylum seekers, because they are also, most of the times, they are not financially strong, if I may use the words. And that's why it's very hard for them to look for immigration lawyers or advisors who might help them in the first place, because this is not like criminal proceedings where you can be assigned a lawyer. They have to pay for it out of their own pocket, or borrow money to pay for these lawyers and the expenses. And then now we also saw yesterday, did Danny, okay.
I'm still here. I just switched off the camera for a second.
Okay, I will see. I'll get out of here.
That's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah. So where was I? They have to. They cannot be just assigned lawyers, and also we saw yesterday through Daria's interview. It's become a sort of what do you say? An economical thing too, where people have to spend money to get access to their immigration lawyers and immigration counsel, and to have a talk, and they might not still get a private, what do you say? What's the word that you use?
The client attorney privilege communication.
Yes, that the private communication privilege that is needed in these circumstances, and they still may not get it. And there are people, and usually these asylum seekers, they are from countries and their English is not good, and they are being provided these tablets or phones or whatever with interfaces in English, and they might not even understand it. They might have different neurological or other requirements, such as they
Vision,
have
like they can't see
vision,
the
hearing, and they might even have other health issues. So we also saw that there is no medical assessment being done for them.
Yeah. And realize these pieces of shit will for example have there are people in the concentration camp that Daria's mom is stuck in who have had a judge say release them, here's a bond, for months, and they're still in prison.
Yeah. So
you just understand just how off the rails these folks are for stuff. But I'll say this to people who do not look like you're a white straight male. Do not go to the United States because you are a prime target. You have a bunch of white supremacist Nazi assholes who see you as a target, and if you are a target, and it doesn't matter. Well, I have a green card. They don't give a damn.
Yes, and that's
they'll grab you.
That's why we also noticed in the interview yesterday that Daria is scared to go to South Louisiana and to meet her mother, because she's afraid that even she has the green card, she might still get arrested and taken into custody, and then she might not be, and she will not be able to help her mother at all. This level of isolation is ridiculous.
And the administration, even though they lost the 14th Amendment argument in the Supreme Court, they still don't care.
Yep.
Yeah, they don't
Citizens
care.
have also been picked up by ICE because maybe they spoke with a Spanish accent, or their English wasn't great. Because as it turns out, people can be born and raised in the United States without English as their first language,
Yes.
and that doesn't make them not American. Or they can have gotten citizenship through, the actual acquiring citizenship process for immigrants,
Yeah.
and also still have
Americans
an
that
accent.
live in Puerto Rico that speak Puerto Rican Spanish are prime targets for Aryan racist, ice coward assholes to basically abscond with them, and they're disappeared in this Justice Department system, which is not, which doesn't like to have the courts over, doesn't like to oversee, and they're gone.
Yeah. And we saw that Daria wasn't able to locate her mother for some time before her mother popped up in the system online. And then there was this, she was also given this wrong information that her mother has already been deported when she wasn't.
Yeah, they will, they feel like it, put information out on their website, but otherwise it's more the process of, I mean, it's essentially they don't, they're trying to speed up the ability to kick people out of the country, right? They want to make this an ethno state, and they want to make it such that people who they don't think are American enough are scared into leaving.
Yes, that's that's the climate they're trying to create here. Going further to the next one, going to the next article. This was also provided by Danny, so thanks, Danny. New rule will let Trump. So I will quickly read through this one because this is the same as the last one, but it kind of sees us from a different point of view, and then we will move on to the next ones. New rule will let Trump administration speed up deportations of asylum seekers. The rule, which will allow USCIS officers to refer asylum seekers directly to immigration court without first interviewing them, has the potential to affect more than 100,000 people in Texas. This is in Texas alone.
This was a Texas-based article, by the way. That's why they're talking about just Texas.
Yeah, this is from HoustonPublicMedia.org, and I'm gonna just it's been written by Andrew Schneider, July 27, 2026. That's my time. It's in Australia. So, yeah. And a new rule from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security will let federal officers refer asylum applicants directly to an immigration court without first interviewing them to allow them to make their case for being allowed to remain in the U.S. The interim final rule, okay, which means... Interim, yeah. Which means it's being implemented in advance of public comment, is set to take effect Tuesday. Again, this is the same rule we were talking about in the last article, and that's what it's clarifying here, that it's being implemented without even before the public can comment on it. So this is dishonest.
Executive branch, and we don't want those judges, even if we've got the MAGA judges, we don't want judges we just want to essentially cleanse people and kick people out of the country. And satisfy our stuff, but
I want to point something out.
Yes,
seeking asylum is a legal thing to do in the United States,
yes.
And the way that you do it is you show up in the United States, whether you have a visa or not, whether you even have a passport or not, and you say, "I request asylum," and at that point, you're supposed to be entered into the process for having asylum adjudicated, whether it be rejected or approved, right? But during that time, you are legally allowed to be in the United States. That is the normal process.
YouTube comment section.
Yeah, well, I've also noticed that. Because a lot of people, and I'm going to say, to put it nicely, a lot of people who really, really like toothbrush mustaches seem to not understand that a normal part of the asylum seeking process is to not have a green card or a visa that is currently active, because that's how asylum seeking works. You show up and you say, "I request asylum," and there's no asylum visa, because the whole point of asylum is that you're fleeing a situation where you're unsafe, which presumably means you don't have the wherewithal to go apply for a visa and wait for it to be approved because you're fleeing.
So why doesn't Agent Orange then order that phrase in front of the Statue of Liberty be removed because it is not according to his liking?
Oh, because, like,
Landon,
fascists brought-
you need to just, don't go so hard on these people. Having a micro penis is a really serious medical issue.
That's true, it is. But the real reason is because fascists love the sort of the accoutrement of whatever previous society that they're looking to as their glory days that never really existed. And it happens that, like, for Italian fascists, that was obviously the Roman Empire, and that doesn't work so well for, like, American fascists. But what does work well for American fascists is just, like, the early 20th century, like the Roaring '20s. That sounds great, you know? Everyone loved that. And,
Did they, though? I
No,
feel
they didn't.
like
no, they did
the
not.
actual people that lived then really hated it, in fact.
They did, actually, a lot of them. Yeah. But they like that kind of this, like, they're looking back to this mythical American historical past. And part of that is, look how cool the revolution was. France was so cool, they gave us a cool statue. And that's it. It's all just about the aesthetic, right? There's a reason why, like, the Italian
But did
fascists
they realize that
oppose the fascies,
Did they-
and it's not because they were actually hearkening back to Roman Republican rule and the actual instruments of power and how, like, the consuls or, like, the occasional limited term dictatorship worked. That wasn't part of it. It was just the aesthetic.
do they
Fascists are all about
realize,
the
though,
appearance.
that
Sorry.
if there was a French-style revolution in the States, that the revolution would be coming for them?
Yes.
They do not realize that, no.
It's very, very, very important. I mean, I had a conversation with a MAGA person who was emotionally distraught because I played for them the intro that Danny did, and then Dapper's little framing of stuff, and that got them very emotional. And I said, when the administration changes, will they come for you?
Yeah, probably is the answer. Probably.
Yeah.
So I will just end with this blurb over here that's in the article, and then we'll move on to something next. And quote, in order to reduce the affirmative asylum backlog, improve efficiency of operations, safeguard national security and public safety, and safeguard national security and public safety. That line just really boggles me. And then carrying on, it says, and ensure consistency with agency priorities. What would be the priority of an agency that, accepts asylum applications? You would wonder. USCIS, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, will no longer offer interviews to all affirmative applicants prior to referral to EOIR, the Executive Office for Immigration Review, unquote. The rule states, quote, through the rule, USCIS is also able to more quickly identify aliens, the language, fuck my life, not refugees, not asylum seekers, but aliens that
Not
pose
people.
not people, yes, that pose a danger to public safety or national security, and place those aliens in removal proceedings where his or her claim for asylum or other forms of relief can be more appropriately heard in an adversarial hearing by an immigration judge.
And
Wasn't
immigration
that
judges aren't
happening
judges.
before? I thought that was still happening. You were still going through that process.
But see, the difference is that normally the interview is there to assess who actually does have a reasonable claim and who doesn't, so that it takes time away from, so it doesn't take time away from the actual immigration court cases that are going on. That's the whole point. The point is of the interview is actually to streamline the process. But no one
but
cares
they
about
decided
streamlining
to
the process.
Streamlining it by skipping optimization.
Yeah, because the point is not actually to improve efficiency of fair hearings of application cases. The objective is to streamline the efficiency of deporting people who are in the country legally, period, for racist reasons. Because let's be clear here, there is absolutely no concern about the actual justice of the situation, the well-being of people, regardless of nationality, none of that, right? It is just there to be more racist.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. So moving on to the next one, I think I'm trying to see if we could find a win after this. It's not a really big win in immigration sense, but it's a little, it's better. So over here, this is a post which talks about Justice Department admits reflecting pool renovation was flawed, drops the case against former Olympian. And then someone saying you don't charge first and then figure it out. You get the information first and then charge. So basically, the lady Pirro or whatever her name is, she
Janine Pirro.
Jean Pirro, yeah. She went after the former Olympian who was at the reflection pool, the wonderful, beautiful reflection pool, and was trying to show people the real state of it, that how it was a botched job and it wasn't done properly and millions was spent on it without any, with bad results, if I might say. And he got arrested and charged with vandalizing. Sorry?
It didn't help that Trump drove a motorcade through it when it was drained and left tire tracks through it all.
Yeah, that didn't help.
No.
But the crazy thing here is, right, everyone who paid even a little bit of attention knew that the charges were absolute bullshit and that the damage had already been done, because there had already been multiple news reports and just random people putting it up on TikTok or whatever, that the lining of the pool was peeling up, which meant that the damage had already been done. And the felony that this man was charged with requires at least $1,000 worth of damage. But if the damage has already been done, then you can't do $1,000 worth of damage. It's like saying you did $1,000 worth of damage to a window that was already broken by someone else by yourself poking at it.
It was installed cracked, right?
Right.
But the administration doesn't give a damn
they
what happened. They want their state media called Fox and their MAGA sycophants to sort of get the notion of the Agent Orange didn't do anything wrong. It must have been them people, right? They don't give a damn.
Correct.
They just want to sensationalize it, and it's sad that this person, a couple of people that were nearby, we'll grab them.
Yes. And these were the people who were actually trying to show the public that it's not vandalism, it's a botched, poor job, and money was wasted. And the Justice Department embarrassed themselves, the Department of Justice embarrassed themselves, and also spent so much money going after someone who was innocent in the first place.
And the toddler in the White House is mad that even the Justice Department said this. By the way, I want to point out that Orange Dot, thank you very Orange Dot, said super extended sigh. Thank you very much for the super chat.
Yeah,
that's basically the last decade.
And Prixie Purple sent a star for 2 jewels. I think so. That might be via mobile app, if I'm not wrong. Thank you. And moving on from this one, here we go. U.S. appeals court rules Trump cannot implement mail-in voting order. This is by Nate Raymond, Reuters, July 26, 2026. And this says, judges say states had to respond now ahead of election deadlines. Justice Department said challenges were premature, lower court ruled, blah, blah, blah. But here we go. Boston, July 25th. A federal appeals court on Saturday declined to allow U.S. President Donald Trump's administration to implement in 23 states his executive order that aims to tighten rules for mail-in voting ahead of November elections that will decide control of Congress. The Boston-based First U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals rejected the administration's request to lift an injunction several Democratic-led states secured on June 25 from a lower court judge who concluded that key parts of the Republican president's order were unconstitutional. In asking the court to pause U.S. District Judge Indira Talwani's ruling while it pursues an appeal, the U.S. Department of Justice had argued that because government agencies agencies had yet to finalize the actions and policies to implement Trump's directive. Any lawsuit challenging his order was premature. The appeals court, in a 2-1 ruling, rejected the argument. As the district court reasoned, it's in quotes, the executive order lays out a clear set of rapidly approaching deadlines by which states must coordinate with federal officials and comply with new voting procedures, all while the states must also ensure that their officials and the public understand the evolving set of rules that would govern the upcoming September and November elections, the judges wrote. The plaintiffs' states have no practical choice but to respond to the order now. Before Talwani ruled, a federal judge in Washington, D.C. rejected a related effort by Democrats to block Trump's order on similar grounds. The Justice Department warned that absent a ruling in its favor from the First Circuit, it may be forced to ask the U.S. Supreme Court to intervene. Trump's March executive order. Trump signed the executive order in March after years of calling for tighter rules on voting by mail and pushing the false claim that his 2020 election defeat was the result of widespread voter fraud. Under the U.S. Constitution, states are assigned the role of administering federal elections. That order came on top of other efforts by Trump to overhaul elections. He has made winning approval in Congress of a divisive package of voting restrictions called the Save America Act a priority. Judges have blocked an earlier executive order he signed requiring proof of citizenship to register to vote and restricting the counting of mail ballots. The March order directed the U.S. Department of Homeland Security to compile and transmit to the states a list of confirmed U.S. citizens eligible to vote in each state, derived from citizenship and naturalization records and other federal databases. Trump's order also required the U.S. Postal Service to only deliver ballots to voters on each state's approved mail-in ballot list. USPS recently moved to implement Trump's directive by issuing new proposed rules requiring states to provide the names and barcodes tied to their mail-in ballots. It also directed the U.S. Department of Justice to prioritize the investigation and prosecution of state and local election officials who issue federal ballots to people deemed, quote, not eligible, unquote, to vote. But Talwani, in siding with a coalition of 23 states and the District of Columbia that was led by California, Massachusetts, Nevada, and Washington state, said that the president lacked any authority to direct Department of Homeland Security to compile voter eligibility lists for each state to use, and that the USPS had no statutory authorization to adopt any binding regulations on mail-in voting. The judge, who was appointed by Democratic President Barack Obama, said Trump also could not attempt through his order to intimidate local election officials to use the necessarily incomplete confirmed citizenship list as a resource, lest they face criminal prosecution.
So could someone else start before I do my explicative deleted comment?
Yeah, so one thing I think that's important to remember is that the Constitution of the United States of America is not a list of things that the government is not allowed to do, the federal government. It is a list of things that the federal government is allowed to do. So if it's not on the list from the Constitution, the answer is the government is not allowed to do it. And one of the things that is not on the list of what the government is allowed to do is have any role in adjudicating how the states conduct their elections, apart from making sure that they are not disenfranchising people on the grounds of things like race or ethnicity or sex and things like that, right? So other than that, the role of the federal government in elections is basically zero. And so it is very obviously unconstitutional for the President of the United States to have any control whatsoever over the voter rolls, how the states are allowed to collect votes, or anything else like that. It is nakedly unconstitutional, and there is absolutely no valid argument about this. And frankly, I think that the government lawyers who argued for this should be referred to the bar.
And
Danny, do you want to?
Yeah, go on, Danny, please.
Well, there's only so many people you can tell to fuck all the way off to, but I could make that my life's mission.
I mean, I'm going to push back and say I think that you could tell all 8 billion or so people to go fuck off if you wanted to. I don't, but I feel like you could.
Yeah, but I mean, like, one at a time and personally, right? Like,
Well, that person in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
exactly. Like, wanted to insult everybody. Like, I want to tell all of these people individually, one at a time, to fuck all the way off.
It's like it's like that video meme where a guy starts slapping the kids and then he goes to the adults who keep approaching him and then keeps slapping and slapping and slapping. I guess that's the thing.
Yeah.
Go on.
So, Arnold, you pathetic, narcissistic loser, you lost the election. How do I know? Well, what is the election? That thing called the Constitution you swore an oath to uphold and defend, it says the election for president is conducted and counted by a joint session of the House and Senate. And even though you and your mob and your racist, supremacist, Proud Boys and other ilk that you pardon, damn you, tried to stop, the election was held in, the counting was in Congress because everyone here did not vote for president or vice president. You voted for electors who cast their votes. And Donald, you are a loser. You lost the 2020 election. I don't care how you do it or how many times you try, you're a loser. Now, I live in the state of Washington. The state of Washington has been voting by mail for nearly 2 decades. I voted by mail. Donnie.
I did too.
And guess what, you piece of shit? You, Donnie, voted by mail. So how hypocritical can you be where you say, I don't want people to vote by mail, and you vote by mail? What a piece of shit you are. So and to those people who try and aid and abet this gentleman Putin organization, who is supporting this narcissistic asshole in the Oval Office, you have to try and cheat because in a fair election, people are going to sit there and give you the middle finger. So please, people, if you're able to vote, look at your ballot. If you find someone who prefers to be a Republican Party, that is a gentleman Putin organization, do not vote for them. If they're all GOP on your thing, don't cast a vote because you're not required to vote for everything. But it is time that this organization, these cowards, people like JD, who know better, he knows better, he knows what type of person Donnie is. He was a senator in the Capitol when Donnie had the mob attack. He was there yelling at the White House saying, stop this riot. How do I know? Because my good friend who retired from Congress was with him when he was there scared. JD, you know exactly what kind of person Donnie is because you experienced it. And yet you sit there in the White House complicit. You have no honor. You have no dignity. You have no integrity. You act like a piece of shit and you support people that like this shit. So people, please, in your election, look to see if you find anyone, even water commissioner or whatever the thing is, and they say prefers Republican Party, tell them to fuck off and do not vote for them. Sorry, trademark Canada.
If you're feeling a bit Australian, say fuck off, you cunts.
There you
Do it
go.
that way.
I would also like to point out regarding Mr. Vance there that to quote Mr. Vance regarding Donald Trump, he might be America's Hitler. Turns out, yeah, that was a good thing to say. That was correct there, JD. What happened to that, JD? Oh, right. He got close to the levers of power. Yeah.
So,
Piece of shit.
Don't make JD cry. His mascara will run.
I mean, that is true.
I would
sorry.
say this.
I apologize for those people that are sensitive to those words, but you might say I'm a bit compassionate. I have voted in every election since I was able to vote and register in 18. I'm proud to do it. I'll continue to do it. and I will vote by mail, and Donnie, you can just fuck off.
Yeah.
Sorry to say that
Again,
again.
Department of Homeland Security, it's not an election organization. It's not a Department of Election. It has nothing to do with it. USPS is not an organization that is an active member of the election, if I might say, commission. So both these organizations should not be compelled to do anything during the elections or for the elections at all. So that's the argument I really support from the judge who put a stop to this. So guys, whoever in our live chat, if you know your neighbors, your friends, your elderly, anyone in your family who votes via mail-in ballots, please make sure they understand what the requirements are in the upcoming September and November elections, and send in your votes as early as possible so that they cannot be, stopped midway. Just get it done now. It's because time is going by fast, and before you know it, August is finished and September and October are here. So anyone around you, please check in with them, your neighbors, your family, your friends, anyone, and let them know what's going on. I can
Also, I know. Oh, sorry.
Go on, please. No, keep going, Dapper.
I know
Go.
a lot of states have web portals where you can check on your voter registration status, as well as whether or not you're registered to receive mail-in ballots. I'm going to be checking mine here in the next few days. I checked mine a few months ago, but there's been a lot of shenanigans. And while
Keep
it is
checking.
true that my governor is not a Republican, and so I don't think that she's involved in a whole lot of these shenanigans, I'm still going to play it safe and double check. And you should too, because you know what? Mail-in voting is great. I have voted by mail every single election that I have been in Arizona for, which is a few. And I love voting by mail. It is great. I get to look over all the candidates, even in races I haven't heard of. I can take the time to Google the positions of races that I haven't, candidates for races I haven't been following. I took the time to Google the positions and appointment status and everything of every single Supreme Court judge on that ballot, because in Arizona, we not only vote for Supreme Court judges, but we also vote for them to kick them out if at the end of term, because we have term limits for our Supreme Court. Crazy, right? So check into it.
Thank you, by the way, Dapper, thank you very much for taking the time to study your ballot and voting, and not just voting for the emotional thing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry, I was muted. Keep checking. Keep checking, guys.
Yeah.
Keep checking. You never know. And get it done. And make sure you check that your vote has reached where it's supposed to reach. Moving on.
Yeah, that's also another thing. Most states that I'm aware of, as far as I'm aware, sorry, I'll rephrase it. Most states have an option where you can see whether or not your early ballot has been actually accepted and counted yet. And if it hasn't, then you can look into ways to see what's going on with that and keep track. Most states actually make it pretty easy for you to be able to keep track of what's happening with your ballot, with your vote, whether you're registered or anything like that.
Yeah.
And please check. It takes usually only a few seconds for most people.
And that like a mail-in ballots, right? You've got an envelope that you put your ballot in a security sleeve, and you put that inside the envelope. So when they look at the envelope, they can tell who it's mailed from. Even though when it comes time to vote, they open up the envelope and remove the ballot and put it into the pile, so it's become anonymous. But you can tell whether your vote has been received. And if it turns out it hasn't, you can go to the registrar's office and say, hey, I mailed in my ballot and you're not recording you received it, and you can vote again. What they'll do is they'll say, okay, we will create a provisional ballot, and if we find your ballot that mailed in, we'll use that. Otherwise, we'll use a provisional ballot. So if it turns out that they haven't verified that your ballot has been received, you can go in and supply them saying, here's a ballot that you can use if you can't find my ballot. And I used to say that's something that you can do, because it's one of the things that American citizens have both a right and an obligation to do. And please don't sit there and say, yeah, but if I register to vote, I might be on a jury pool. Please, you're the type of people that probably want on a jury pool. Because imagine you're sitting there charged with something you didn't do, and if you have a bunch of people that say, I don't want to be on a jury pool. No, people who can have a consideration are the type of people we need on a jury pool. So please don't let I may on a jury pool. It'd be an honor for you to be on a jury pool because you may be able to correctly adjudicate someone's fate. Assuming
I
that
feel
they
like
bring
being on a
forward.
jury pool would be super fun. Like I've always wanted to be on a jury pool. I've never gotten
I mean,
called to.
it takes a lot of time, and it's not well compensated work. So, like, there
No, it's
are
not.
definitely downsides, but
I-
like, you should do
Yeah,
it.
but it's still fun. Like you could. Well, I mean, it may not be fun, but like it's an experience that I think is like worth having. Like you're.
I mean, it's
It's-
definitely
you're-
experience. Yeah.
You're
That's
helping
what
to try to ensure that there's justice within your country.
Yeah.
That should be like. That
And-
should be a
and-
patriotic thing to want to do.
And understand there's jury nullification. So if the court, if the prosecutor demonstrated that they did something that was against the law, but you say, yeah, but they're innocent anyway, you can do that.
Okay, so moving on.
You sure can.
All right, moving on. Brazil officials say visa request denied to Trump officials ahead of election by Lissandra Paraguaçu. I guess that's how you pronounce her name. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't want to butcher it. But this was on July 25th,
Dapper,
2026.
how do you pronounce that?
I don't know. I don't know enough Portuguese.
Okay.
Lissandra Para. Oh, you went away.
I would say Paraguaçu.
Yep.
I mean, that
Lissandra
sounds
Paraguaçu.
reasonable to me, but like,
Lissandra
I also
Paraguaçu, I think would be.
don't know.
Okay.
Okay,
Please.
all right, moving on. Brasilia, July 25th. Brazil has denied visa requests for two officials in U.S. President Donald Trump's administration who plan to travel to the country to cast doubt on the integrity of its electoral system. Two Brazilian
Guilty
officials...
before it started.
Shocking.
Shocking, isn't it? So the two Brazilian officials with knowledge of the matter told writers on Saturday. The officials, speaking on condition of anonymity, I don't blame them, due to the sensitivity of the matter, said the U.S. plan represented an attempt to shape Brazil's October presidential election. Leftist incumbent Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva
Ignacio.
Lula da Silva will face right-leaning Senator Bolsonaro, a Trump ally and son of ex-president Jair Bolsonaro, who lost the last election to Lula.
And lost is an understatement.
Yeah. Brazil denied the request for visas on Friday to the U.S. delegation, which would have included Assistant Secretary Riley M. Barnes from the State Department's Bureau of Democracy, Human Rights and Labor, and also Samuel Sampson, a Deputy Assistant
Orwell-esque
Secretary, the
name.
Brazilian official said. The rejection has been based on... Sorry, go on.
I'm sorry. That State Department's Bureau of Democracy. What a Orwellian phrase.
Yeah. So the rejection was based on, quote, evidence pointing to a renewed attempt to politically exploit the situation and undermine the electoral system, unquote, one of the officials said. Later on Saturday, a U.S. State Department spokesperson said Barnes and Sampson would visit Brasilia from July 27 to July 30th to meet with government officials, religious leaders, and civil society representatives to discuss election integrity, religious freedom, and freedom of expression. The spokesperson rejected any suggestion of a quote-unquote ploy to undermine Brazil's elections, calling such claims quote-unquote baseless and describing the visit as routine and consistent with Bureau of Democracy, Human Rights, and Labor statutory mandate. If you're going to, if election integrity, religious freedom is part of your topics to discuss when there's an election upcoming in another country, I think so they're making it a fair choice to not allow you in my opinion. And going on, Flavio Bolsonaro did not respond on Saturday to a request for comment. Even he knows that this association will piss everyone off. The U.S. plan was first reported by the Washington Post and then confirmed by the writers. Trump's administration has been trying to influence political contests across Latin America. His recent, quote, complete and total endorsement, unquote, of Colombia's president-elect Abelardo de la Espriella followed support for leaders including Argentine President Javier Milei and Chilean President Jose Antonio Cast. New attempt to discredit elections. Jair Bolsonaro, a former army captain and far-right firebrand, repeatedly sought to undermine confidence in Brazil's electoral system before the 2022 election, echoing tactics used by Trump in the U.S. Here we go, guys. At the time, the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency director under former President Joe Biden told the Bolsonaro administration to stop casting doubt on Brazil's voting system. Still, in the months before 2022 vote, which Lula ultimately won, Bolsonaro had convened foreign diplomats to present unsubstantiated allegations that Brazil's electronic voting system was vulnerable to fraud. His campaign backfired. Brazil's Superior Electoral Court, which oversees the elections, later ruled that Bolsonaro had abused his position and barred him from seeking public office until 2030. Bolsonaro was later convicted and sentenced to 27 years in prison for plotting to overturn the election result and remain in power. He's serving this sentence.
That's what should have happened to Donnie, who worked with a mob to try to stop the election that happens in Congress.
Now, Flavio Bolsonaro has reignited doubts over the country's electoral system, which have been spread through social media. Speaking at an event by dozens of diplomats.
Space Karen and that piece of shit called Twitter or X.
Yeah.
Please, here we dead name Twitter until Elon Musk stops dead naming his daughter.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think so. We have said enough. I don't want to spread whatever the basis propaganda he was spreading through, so I didn't read the rest of the article because we don't need that.
So Bill imprisoned their ex-president for trying to undermine the election system and trying to distort it, trying to do essentially what Donald did. And Donald is unhappy that his friend got put into prison, and his son is trying to revive that thing. And they told the Americans who came in to try to pretend like they're going to oversee it to fuck off.
I think
as well they should have.
Yeah. I think this pretension of, oh, we're just going there for a regular visit, when there are important elections happening, and when in the past Trump has endorsed the far-right candidate in that country, is too obvious, guys. It's too obvious. Stop it. Stop it.
Well, the thing is, this is not the first time that U.S. officials have gone into a country to actually endorse a candidate running for office. They did it for
interfere in elections. Yeah.
Yeah, J.D. Vance went to campaign for Viktor Orban in Hungary. He showed up and gave speeches at Orban campaign events.
Yeah,
now, to be fair, if you want the new Bolsonaro the younger to lose, then maybe J.D. Vance should actually go show up and campaign for him, because apparently anything J.D. Vance says to go do, no one wants to do, because apparently he's the kiss of death, not just for a pope, but for political aspirations.
I think this is
go
on, please. Go on, Landon.
I'm sorry. Please. I'll finish. Go ahead. You were starting.
My thing is, it's very important that these countries maintain their sovereignty and tell any foreign, political organizations or leaders to fuck off and not interfere with their sovereignty. Danny. Go on.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, am I?
I think there's a delay, guys.
Yeah, there's
a
delay.
So sorry, Danny. As somebody who has been, who is in the alleged 51st state, do you have any comments regarding foreign countries messing in your government's elections? You're muted, by the way, Danny.
I'm here. Yeah, I mean, we have a lot in common with Russia. We're both big land masses. It gets very cold in the winter. There's a lot going on, except I guess our poutine tastes better.
Having tasted it, yes, and really realize that when I look at a foreign election, I might have an opinion, but I'm not a voter there, so I just encourage the citizens of that country to carefully consider their options and select what's in their best interest, and I do not contribute. Now I know that people like Nigel Farage, that little toad prick, in England, likes to take crypto money. Did I ever mention that crypto is a scam? Maybe crypto is a scam, by the way. If I haven't.
Yeah, I think so. You have.
And he threw his toys out of the pram and had a condition fit just like Donnie does. And now he's running in an election because he basically the parliament is about ready to investigate him, and he said, "I quit, but I'm running for the office I quit." And now he's running against Count Benface in his by-election. And Count Benface is he's a special person, and I would consider, for those people in Brighton that are voting, consider throwing your vote in the bin. Sorry,
Okay.
that's a little off, but
I forgive you.
Sorry about Canada.
If Nigel Farage loses to Count Benface, it will be
Oh my God.
fantastic.
I gotta say, I never thought that I would be
I will
following.
whip out the tea and crumpets.
Yeah, I never thought I would be following a by-election for some random ass village in England. But my God, do I want a Count Benface victory in the Clacton by-election?
And I'm hoping. My hope is that Nigel doesn't get it politically, because unfortunately in England they have first past the post, which means that the person who gets the most votes wins, not the majority, but the votes. Nevertheless, all the major parties told Nigel Farage, who is a piece of shit, who Space Karen, otherwise known as Elon Musk, loves, who is a friend of, or tries to suck Donnie's cock every time. He spent more time in the United States than he ever even got close to his constituency. Imagine a representative that doesn't even live in your district, doesn't want to stay in your district, doesn't even want to appear in your district, is running in your district. This is the Nigel thing, and yet just look up Count Benface. Just Google Count Benface. He's special. He's special.
I think my favorite Count Benface statement, which not going to be able to give you word for word, but I can approximate, was when he was asked whether or not he would take off his helmet because the parliamentary rules say that you're not allowed to sit in parliament with your face covered. Responded,
or wear armor.
Well, sure, but he responded that he was also under the impression that you were supposed to report gifts and donations, but that since those rules weren't being followed, he's not sure why anyone would care that he's wearing a mask or a helmet. So, and you know
Nice.
what? Fair point.
And someone said, "What qualifies you for? What is your major platform?" And he said, "I'm not Nigel."
Yep. He also wants to cap the price of croissants, and he also promises to build at least one affordable home.
At least one affordable
Which I think is more than PP might be able to promise.
Yes, I don't want PP in charge in Canada. That would be Prime Minister Pierre Poilievre, and that's 3 Ps, and he's friends with someone who's president and also potentially a pedo, so that's a lot. You don't want Prime Minister Poilievre, friend of a president who's potentially a pedo. It's too many Ps. There's too many Ps going on, and then we'd have to rename Carney's crevasse, and it would be like PP's petite pit, I guess. I don't know.
All right.
It's complicated, but yes. So please, folks, for a little levity, please look up Count Benface
Brilliant.
and understand this is the oldest democracy having a what happened. Well, let's put it for Americans. It's like, let's say a member of Congress resigns, and then so they'd say, okay, we have to hold election for this open seat, and the member of Congress turns around and runs for the seat they resigned to. And why did they resign? Because the Congress committee was investigating them for doing what? Doing naughty things, accepting bribes from crypto, folks who are trying to get them to influence the election. And why crypto? Because crypto is a scam. Have I ever mentioned that? I'm not sure.
That doesn't sound like you, Landon.
Okay, so so the thing is that US might come back and say, yes, we are being denied to scrutinize certain elections in another country, which can be fair. You can say, yeah, but the thing is that is US a qualified country to do that, or a qualified organization to do that, or the officials?
No.
Officials. That's the point.
No, they're not Brazil. They should shut the fuck up.
Yes,
but they're not Brazil.
Exactly. Because United Nations and many other organizations have organizations that are non-profit, so they're not working for profit and are not looking for profit. They go in various countries during their elections and they do on-the-ground reporting to find out how accurate the election is, or how a successful an election is without any problems. So I would rather have those agencies come in and do scrutiny than these political morons who come in and try and influence, give speeches and stuff and try and influence people on who to vote. So a country can maintain its sovereignty, and you don't have to give into the pressures of like, oh, so you don't want us to know what's going on the ground. No, you can say, yeah, let's find a neutral agency that can come in and do the scrutiny. We are fine with it. So be ready with good comebacks when such things happens, because these people are really, really, they're very good at trying to hold other people accountable, but when it comes to them, they're like, oh, it's none of your business. So moving on. Let's see. This is one of my favorite. Peru's Fujimori takes power, extending Latin America's rightward tilt. It's not kind of my favorite, but
bad.
Yeah, she's the first women president, if I'm not wrong, but she's right.
I believe that is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keiko Fujimori was sworn in as Peru's president on Tuesday, becoming the latest in a string of conservative leaders elected across Latin America by voters frustrated by crime, weak economic growth, and political instability. The 51-year-old daughter of former President Alberto Fujimori is Peru's first ever elected female head of state. Now, just because she is female doesn't mean that she is all nice and, she's going to be very honest or anything. But she's right-winged. She's like right-leaning. Her victory in June's presidential runoff marked the return of one of Peru's most influential and polarizing political dynasties, and capped a political comeback after years of failed bids. Quote, I assume office with the firmness needed to govern, but also with the sensitivity required to listen to and heal the wounds of her people, unquote. Fujimori said in her first address as president, calling for reconciliation after a close election race marked by allegations of fraud. Here we go again. So the question is, when you start doubting all elections come under scrutiny and under and get marked by allegations. Quote, we must
and
have...
also...
Go on.
Let's say, so also, like, her father was a previous right-wing pro-business, and I don't mean pro-business in the broad sense of, like, let's make sure that, people can get stuff made and
pro-oligarch
here. Pro-oligarch, yeah. And so, this is basically just a comeback for Peru's oligarchy. That's it. That's all that's happening right now.
So it's very, very important to go out and vote. That's the thing. Please go out and vote, or else people like Elon Musk, who is an oligarch, will come in and will upheave all your systems and then cry, oh, I tried, and then run away.
How could I have known that cutting funding that was used to monitor the American screwworm could ever have negative consequences.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you could have listened to the people who were doing the thing, who would tell you that this would actually be really, really bad for ranchers. And this is just a random old example, you know.
Yeah. So, quote, we must this is from Fujimori. Quote, we must have the courage to face our reality head on without anesthesia, without makeup, and without half-truths, she said, unquote. Fujimori will be Peru's 10th president since 2016, following a tumultuous decade in which no leader completed a full 5-year term. Her election extends a broader rightward shift across Latin America, with a string of recently elected leaders advocating closer ties with the US and tougher policies on crime. Fujimori has said there is this quote very significant space unquote for cooperation with administration of US President Donald Trump, and expressed interest in Peru joining quote Shield of the Americas unquote, a regional initiative proposed by Trump to combat transnational crime. Like,
By the
wasn't
way,
that
Danny,
happening before?
aren't you under the Shield of Americas?
That's the Canadian Shield you're thinking of.
Oh,
Yeah. We haven't built the
Landon.
ice wall yet, if that's what you mean.
Landon is confusing Danny. It's just like out of nowhere.
Yeah, you're thinking of geology, Landon, I think.
Yeah, like, I don't know.
I was just asking, Danny.
I'm still pro convincing at least enough of the US population that we're snow Mexicans so that you'll build a wall and pay for it.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on. So here we go. Washington has made I can't talk anymore. Washington has made one of its strongest efforts in years to deepen ties with Peru, a major copper and critical minerals producer with strategic Pacific ports, in an effort to counter China's influence in the region. U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Landau attended the inauguration and met with Fujimori in Lima ahead of the ceremony. A post by Landau on X showed Argentine President Javier Milei, Antonio Castro of Chile, and Rodrigo Paz of Bolivia were also in attendance. On Monday, Fujimori named former central bank board member Elmer Cuba as economy minister, and Carlos Espa, a former presidential candidate who also worked for the U.S. Embassy in Lima, as foreign minister. On Tuesday, the president finalized her entire cabinet and tapped former Deputy Minister Guillermo Chino to lead the Ministry of Energy and Mines. Peru is the world's third largest copper producer. Fujimori said during her speech that she was inheriting a Peru battered by insecurity, poor governance, and public distrust, while pledging to cut unnecessary spending, improve the business climate, and raise the minimum wage. Quote, I have come to offer method, discipline, hard work, and a clear roadmap, unquote, she said. Congress economic challenge. Fujimori narrowly defeated leftist Congressman Roberto Sanchez in one of Peru's closest elections in modern history. Sanchez has alleged electoral fraud without providing evidence and has pledged to lead left-wing opposition bloc in Congress. I think at this point, Roberto Sanchez shouldn't have done that, in my opinion. Why are you do that? If you don't have evidence, you shouldn't do that. Lawmakers from Sanchez.
On the other hand, maybe he knows something we don't. I doubt it, but maybe.
But then there should be a strategy on how to go about it, not just make empty claims.
Yeah, the empty claims are not a good idea.
No. Lawmakers from Sanchez's party walked out of Congress on Tuesday, refusing to listen to Fujimori's speech. Oh, damn. Protests against her candidacy drew hundreds of left-wing activists and civil society groups in Lima ahead of the runoff. Demonstrations were planned to coincide with Tuesday's inauguration. Fujimori's Popular Force Party is expected to hold the largest minority bloc in a fragmented Congress, which has returned to a bicameral structure for the first time in 3 decades. In a vote to elect the head of Congress on July 26, the incoming coalition secured the presidency of the Senate, while the opposition won leadership of the body's lower house, the Chamber of Deputies.
By the way, I'm predicting that the president of Peru will declare a national emergency and start arresting people that don't vote the way she wants.
Oh, okay.
Wouldn't be shocking.
Yeah. So here's what a fragmented 130-seat lower house and 60-seat Senate is expected for 2026 and 2031, with no party reaching a majority, and Keiko's Fujimori's conservative party holding the largest minority bloc. So That's what this looks like.
The 41 and the 22
Yeah.
up there.
Senate and congressional seats. Maintaining legislative support could prove challenging, and etc. 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 So, yeah.
Yeah, and Peru's only hope is that Donnie will be more upset and throwing toys out of his pram than to get involved in Peru, because he probably doesn't know which continent Peru is on anyway. At least I suspect Rubio's staff doesn't know where Peru is, given what they did with that map.
My guess is that someone in the State Department will use Grok to draw a map of South America with Peru highlighted, and then Grok will give them a map that has some part of South America, which might be swapped for Africa, highlighted as Peru, and it won't actually be anywhere near where Peru is. And then that will be what Donnie goes with.
I agree. I think the map will identify Nova Scotia and say Peru.
Oh, see, I was thinking more like Angola, because I think they would swap out South America and Africa. I think it's less likely to swap out Canada and South America, but I might be wrong.
Most Americans are geographically challenged, but the State Department currently appears to do so. I mean, they can't find the Gulf of Mexico, so.
Well, that's because they renamed it to the Gulf of America, Landon.
Yeah, that's
Keep
nothing
up.
a Sharpie can't fix.
Well, there's that too, yeah.
I'm thinking we have been live now for an hour and 15 minutes. Let's take a break and let's go refill our coffee mugs, our wine glasses, and anything that we need to go to attend nature's call, and be back maybe in 5 minutes. Is that okay? 5 minutes, okay?
Sounds good to me.
All right, cool. Guys, we'll see you in a bit. We are having a break. We will be right back. Thank you very much. Okay.
Forgive you.
Okay, and I was muted. Hi guys.
Manya's a professional. Drink, everybody.
Yes, mine is a professional, and I apologize for the explicitly words that I've used so far. I'm concerned and passionate about the topics, but I did go and make a cafe with the steamed milk and Italian coffee and maple syrup from Quebec. And you don't know what's Quebec? Watch South Park. It'll tell you what Quebec is.
It's the best Canada.
No Canada like the French Canada.
Yeah, it's the best Canada.
Oh, I
world.
disagree with that part of the song.
I mean, yeah, but it's in the song, so I don't think you're allowed to.
You look. There's only one road in Canada, and it's the Trans-Canada Highway, which means
Correct.
MAGA's probably against it.
And
That's a good point. Yeah.
There are Birdville on that road. It's a nice road. Highway 1. Highway 1.
Alrighty. Everybody, welcome back. Thank you for your patience with me today, and thank you everyone on the panel for keeping up with me with all my shenanigans. And here we go on to the next one. I think we'll do 2 or 3 more after this, and then we should be wrapping up. So just a heads up. And yes, go on.
Also, we should probably give a update on Daria's mom too towards the end as well, if you could please.
Okay, then I will take out one article and we can go towards the update and finish it off. All right, cool. Let's go. So, next one is ASEAN top diplomats meet, voice, quote, serious concerns, unquote, over Middle East hostilities. This is by Karen Lemma and Nestor Corrales on July 21st, 2026. This picture has been taken in Manila, Philippines. I've got a call. Hold on, I need to go. Dapper.
Oh no.
Yeah, I will. Give me 2 minutes. I'll be back. Give me a sec. I'm sorry.
By the way,
Manya's
sorry
a
is a
professional.
trademark of Canada. I want to point that out.
Yeah, like you can't do that. Like we'll sue.
So Manya, put money in the sorry chip jar, trademark Canada, because you didn't say sorry, trademark Canada.
Yeah, you had to be Canadian to say sorry without giving credit to Canada.
And you have to say it in the proper way. I mean, how, Danny? How do
Sorry.
you say?
Let's sorry.
Yeah.
So how do they say it in Newfoundland?
Sorry, bye.
That matters because. By the way,
Yeah, we don't want
Newfoundland-
to discriminate against Newfies.
most Newfies are experts at Newfie jokes.
True.
There's a book that they publish on official Newfie jokes, and they have a sense of humor. That's really good. They're fun folk.
They are.
But yeah. So yeah. I by the way, to users, people that live in the middle part of America, a suggestion: don't apologize. Because sorry, it's trademark Canada, but simply work towards doing better.
Be better, America.
Be nicer downstairs neighbors than the noisy, obnoxious, farting, poopy people.
You're not sending your best.
Yes.
Have you been behaving while I was away? Or not?
No.
Oh my god.
Manya, I don't know who you think we are, but behaving was never an option.
No? Okay.
No.
All right, so here we go. Let me take a break. Okay, here we go. This is from Manila, and on July 21st, the Middle East crisis overshadowed a diplomatic gathering in Southeast Asia on Tuesday, where foreign ministers voiced concerns over renewed hostilities that add to uncertainty in a region grappling to manage tensions and conflicts of its own. Foreign ministers from the 11-member Association of Southeast Asian Nations and major partners have meetings in Manila this week against a backdrop of instability since the US and Iran resumed open conflict, raising concerns about energy supplies through the Strait of Hormuz as well as inflation and global growth. Fucking Donald. Risks have increased in recent days, with Yemen's Iran-aligned Houthis announcing a naval blockade on Saudi Arabia. Nice. Opening a potential new front in the conflict and raising the threat to global energy supplies and trade beyond the Gulf. Quote, "We are deeply concerned that these developments severely undermine the ongoing efforts of key mediators and diminish the prospects for a peaceful resolution through dialogue and diplomacy," unquote, the ministers said in a statement after closed-door meeting. Southeast Asia, a major oil importer with a combined gross domestic product of 3.8 trillion, is highly exposed to the supply crunch and has sought to fast-track an ASEAN oil-sharing mechanism to mitigate the impact. ASEAN has no shortage of challenges closer to home and will on Tuesday hold a consultation on the conflict in Myanmar as the
Burma.
bloc's
Dead name those military Houthi assholes.
As the bloc's peace initiative falters 5 years after a military coup that plunged the country into a civil war that has killed an estimated 100,000 people. Rubio takes aim at Beijing. Of course, it's always about Beijing, isn't it? Officials are also likely to discuss tensions in South China Sea, with ASEAN and China still trying to conclude a code of conduct to prevent disputes from escalating after nearly 10 years. Tensions between Manila and Beijing have intensified ahead of an expected meeting between Philippines Foreign Affairs Secretary Maria Teresa Lazaro and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi on the sidelines of Wednesday's ASEAN meetings. A fresh war of words erupted after the Philippine military accused China's Coast Guard personnel of aggressively striking one of its Navy personnel on the head with a baton near the disputed Second Thomas Shoal in the South China Sea on Monday, prompting accusations of provocation and dangerous maneuvers from both governments. Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. summoned China's ambassador in Manila on Tuesday, hours after the Manila's envoy in Beijing was similarly summoned. Oh my God, these people. In talks with ASEAN Secretary General Cao Kim Horn in Manila on Tuesday, Wang said certain forces within the Philippine military and police deliberately engaged in provocations and created maritime incidents. He said these served the interests of external forces and undermined China-Philippines relations. Wang said the South China Sea issue should not be an obstacle in China-ASEAN relations, and that Beijing was willing to work with the bloc to eliminate interfering factors, according to an official readout of the meeting. Earlier on Tuesday, the Chinese Foreign Ministry told a media briefing ASEAN was not a forum for discussing bilateral maritime disputes. Fair. Quote, the Philippines should earnestly fulfill its duties as ASEAN's rotating chair, promote dialogue and cooperation rather than placing its own political interests above regional peace and stability, unquote, it said. The U.S. State Department condemned what it described as China's, quote, dangerous and aggressive, quote, unquote, actions in what it called China's troubling pattern of provocation against lawful Philippine maritime operations. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Wang will join the ASEAN-led meeting in the coming days and could meet on the sidelines. Oh my God. US trying to fucking put his head there again. Also attending will be India, Japan, Australia, South Korea, Russia, Britain, and European Union, among others. Without naming China, Rubio took a swipe at Beijing in an opinion piece published by Philippine newspapers on his arrival in Manila on Tuesday, reaffirming US commitment to freedom of navigation by saying such freedom was by no means guaranteed. If those waters fall under the control of power willing to use commerce as a geopolitical weapon, both the United States and the ASEAN states would face dire new threats to their sovereignty, security, and economic futures. Someone asked him, then why did he start a war with Iran? Rubio reiterated that 2016 arbitral ruling, which invalidated China's sweeping sovereignty claims in the South China Sea, was final and binding, and said that U.S. would honor its obligations to the Philippines and other allies as they confront new and coercive threats to our shared interests. China does not recognize the arbitration ruling, which went in favor of the Philippines. Whew.
I have a rant, but I'll wait for other people to start.
So, the first big thing here is to remember that this was caused by the United States, right? So, for one thing, the reason that this is being done at all is because the Houthis tend to be sympathetic to Iran because both Saudi Arabia and the United States oppose both the Houthis and the Iranians. Now, this is for a rather big reason, which is to say that Iran and the majority of Yemen are both Shia Muslims, and Saudi Arabia doesn't like that, and has propped up Sunni governments in Yemen for a very long time, which have oppressed the majority of the population on religious grounds. And so when you hear like Houthi rebels, keep in mind that the reason that they are rebels is because they would prefer not to be horribly oppressed and starved to death and bombed on account of basically saying that a different guy should have been in charge of the Islamic Caliphate after the death of Muhammad. That's it. That's the core reason that there's what amounts to like various attempts at genocide and not quite ethnic cleansing of Shia Muslims in Yemen, and that the United States could have just left well enough alone. In fact, I want to point out that the last attempted, I'm going to call it surrender conditions from the United States, put in fewer concessions than the previous Obama negotiated Iran nuclear deal that Trump tore up. So Donald Trump has endangered the world economy, including causing further antagonism between China and other South China Sea nations, all because he was hoping to get a better deal than Obama got, but he still can't do it.
Danny, any comments before I launch?
No, launch away.
Launch button has been hit.
Really, I want to speak to the government of the People's Republic of China. Do you not realize that the world laughs at you with your stupid 9-dash line? This map in 1926 having this U-shaped, actually with original 11 dashes that goes all the way past the Philippines, all the way down to Malaysia. Don't you realize you have no faith because the world thinks your 9-dash line is stupid and ridiculous? Down with the China's Communist Party and the things you do. Donnie and his ilk only wish they could be as bad as you are. And it's time for the United States to have a one China policy and a one Taiwan policy. Yes, Taiwan is a country. It has never, ever, ever been under the control of the Chinese Communist Party. It's an independent country, and it's time for the U.S. to recognize that and to tell April in the Pooh, fuck off. Did I make myself clear?
I think so.
I think we're getting very. I'll say this to Chesh, who was in the live chat. I think so. I said it before also. I think so. We're getting very good nuggets for shorts for the channel today. So it will be very, very awesome to get these into little clips and put them in shorts. But yes, I agree with Landon that China needs to. China can't just go around pretending that it wants cooperation, but then it starts like, bossing around smaller countries, or start bossing like, international waters, or shared resources like, international waters. You can't do that. Yes, if you want, you can work with other countries in that region, in that area, to set up security. Right? And that's the thing with both US and China, that they think that people will automatically support them because they are the big players. And that's not how it happens. You have to assure the smaller players that you're not going to step over the line, and then they will be willing to work with you. You cannot isolate yourself and expect to succeed. You have to work with other players. You cannot just dictate, you do this, this, and this. Okay, I get it. You've got, especially with China, you've got good economic stronghold and everything. But if your economy is not supported by globalization, it's nothing, So you gotta work together. You can't just go around dictating shit to other countries, especially smaller countries. And what that does is it gives US, I guess internally, if US comes in and starts, supporting these smaller countries, it gives them internal political leverage, and they and boost to their propaganda that they're a very strong and big country to their citizens. But internationally, it just weakens them. That propaganda internally might work for some time, but internationally, at global stage, especially when you need cooperation from your neighbors, immediate neighbors, for your good economical standing, it's gonna be bad, really bad.
Consider, the Silk Road, which is an imperialistic process of the Chinese Communist Party. Think about that. The Chinese Communist Party, who gets in whines about the era of imperialism and the era of unequal treaties, is currently the most imperialistic, process to enslave countries, where they come in and rip out the resources and don't give a damn about the local people. I saw what you did in Nigeria. I was there. You have no face. And your Silk Road, you can just shove it up your Emperor Winnie the Pooh's butthole, because, again, down with the Chinese Communist Party. I hope that the United States is able to come back and help defend the nation of Taiwan and help it maintain its independence, because Taiwan is a separate country. Fuck off, Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah. And
Did I make myself clear?
Yeah, that was reasonably clear, Landon. I think.
and also with
By the way, in case you didn't know, down with the Chinese Communist Party and United States, avoid the path we're going down, because we're headed towards
something similar.
that level.
Yeah. Alrighty. It's also about, like, it's as if like China is looking in the mirror, and when they're talking about the Middle East and they're talking about the hostilities there, they're looking in the mirror and like telling the reflection that they are wrong. It's simple as that. It's like they're standing there and just saying you're wrong, blah 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 blah, but they're just saying it to their reflection, if that analogy works. All right. Next one.
Just a final thing is to say how debased and how disgusting the Chinese Communist Party is. They put Mao Zedong, a murderer of tens of millions of people, on their currency as an honorific people. Screw you, Chinese Communist Party. Leave Taiwan alone. It's not China. It never has been. It's not yours. You've never ruled Taiwan. And if anyone says reunification, say no. Taiwan is an independent country. It's never been. You can't reunify if it hasn't been part of China.
Exactly. All right.
But
Next.
maybe I'm a little bit emotional about that thing. Sorry, trademark Canada.
I don't blame you. Again, this is from the writers. I looked around for a lot of news from writers. So yeah, please pardon. It's the same source.
Do you think, though, that like China can even call themselves a communist party? Like, they're not even really communist. Like, I think Karl Marx would be like, "You're not fucking communist."
Hey,
Yeah, I think you'd have a hard time proving in court of law
Every
that the Chinese
communist
Communist
party that
Party
takes
is
power eventually becomes not communist. It always happens every single time.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, you know what, though? There's been lots of capitalism that's failed too, right? Like,
Oh, I'm not disagreeing there. I'm
No,
just
no,
saying
like-
that anytime you're like, do they really deserve the label of communist? The answer at this point is either, yeah, sure, they all do, and it turns out the communism, whenever you actually try it, just kind of fucking sucks, or it turns out that no one has ever done communism, and you just pick one. And I don't really
feel
care
like
which one
it's
you
that
pick.
no one's ever done communist. Like, because
Yeah,
like on
there you go.
paper there are aspects. Maybe I don't think anybody's ever done it.
yeah.
Not
You
like-
realize that
Maybe.
in the People's Republic of China, there is no social welfare. There's no support. There's no. This is not something the state is going to take care of you. If you're poor, you just die. And they're so inept that they can't even provide water that humans can drink in their own capital. They have no shame. They have no face. Tell everyone in their poo to fuck off. If you don't want to say, but that's a different story. But yes, it is sad. And so for countries out there tempted by the Silk Road, beware of the Chinese Communist Party imperialist ambitions.
Wait, I thought they pardoned the Silk Road guy.
Oh, all right. So on to the next one, and I think so. This will be the last one before we move on to updates about Daria and her mother. And yeah, so I think so. I brought this one so that there could be something positive after all the,
Thank you.
Passionate,
Breathe.
topics that we have. So, German court rules AI music firm Suno broke copyright rules. The name again, that name. So, yes.
I kind of don't care
Oh, okay.
because I think, like, honestly, like a lot of the current copyright rules are kind of bullshit.
Yeah, but it's about.
I'm going
They're
to
very
be
predatory, and they're there so that large companies can hoard music and
Sure.
and
Yeah, there
I
are
don't
issues.
know. I'm not a fan of
And-
like it's like Disney with intellectual property rights, right? Like they've transformed what intellectual property rights was supposed to be into something like really not that, after benefiting from the fact that they were able to use all of the things they used because of things being like moving out of copyright. And I think music industry is not much different than that. So like kind of like fuck the music industry in that way. Like
I
not the
think-
musicians, but like the industry.
I think we should support individual artists, yes. And I think so that's why this
Yeah.
AI moderating or even banning AI from the music industry is very important, because like building on Danny's point that all these companies
No, my
hoarding,
point is not that.
hoarding-
I think a lot of those tools are good for the industry and good for individual artists.
AI is tools
may
that
I
artists are using.
finish
let
my
Manya
point?
say her thing.
May I finish my point?
Go ahead, sorry.
So building on what Danny said, that these are the companies exactly who are now trying to use these AI tools to use these hoarded, resources that they have hoarded from these talented artists. And are now putting them through AI to generate more and new music. So that's why I think so. In my opinion, it's very important that we need to limit the usage of AI. Individual artists, yeah, okay, if they're using their own sources and their own talents and their own music and their own, whatever they have generated to modify or enhance or whatever, that's fine, okay. But when these companies come in, they don't pay these artists, they pay nothing, like peas and nothing, and then they use whatever these artists have produced and run them through AI to produce more things and then hoard the profits without, helping the artists at all. That I think so it's very important. And also, again, about copyrighting their voices and not letting the artists do their own independent work. It's very, very important. Yeah, I think so. There should be a two-pronged approach here. Dapper, did you want to say something?
So there's a few things. One is I'm certainly not a big fan of the music industry such as it is. I don't think that is going to shock anyone. I think that it is largely exploitative of artists, and generally not a huge fan. However, I am also going to say that AI is basically run on grinding the lives of the least well-off in large sections of the world into dust. And not even like in like countries that are mining for all the rare earth metals that are used for all the circuitry, because that's already happening. That was already happening. But also just the places where the AI data centers are put that vastly increase the cost of power, that put strain on the water systems in those areas, and many of them are being built in just fucking deserts. Arizona has a bunch of data centers that are just in Phoenix, Arizona, the state that's currently under threat of having its water budget slashed into like a third because the Colorado River is drying up. They're putting out
These are
known carcinogens, and for what? To violate copyright law, which even if you're not a big fan of the music industry, which like I said, I'm not, someone should probably have some protection for that work. if we want artists to keep making work.
Yes.
And so ultimately, here's my message for you. Don't use AI for anything, because every time you ask AI anything, you are materially contributing to children getting fucking cancer. And if you think it's okay to get some shitty music because you just want that, and you think it's okay to increase the prevalence of cancer in rural communities, then fuck you. I don't want you to have music. I hope you get that cancer.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
I think that's an industry problem. That's a company problem. That's a problem with large scale data centers. That's not an AI problem, though, because there's lots of like local AI models that people can use as a tool that use the same amount of energy as booting up a video game and playing on your local machine. And so, like, I think villainizing the tool rather than the practices that the industry is using to deploy it is like
Good
the wrong
point.
approach.
But the problem
And-
is that
and I will
even
also
if
say
you're
that-
using a local model, sorry.
I would say, that one of the things is that these mega data centers are inefficient by orders of magnitude. And the reason why is they're trying to rush in order to milk enough money out of the current token market. So people like NVIDIA can just insert bad word. The data centers are inefficient, but AI is a tool. And there are really great artists that are using tools like AI to produce some wonderful art. And this notion of theft, if you go and emulate, for example, the style of South Park, you're not stealing from Matt and Trey, you are emulating stuff. And a lot of these tools allow you to emulate those things. That what's intellectual property is a fairly nebulous set. So I would say that the data centers that are currently being reduced, you to say no, you need to be efficient. You know, the problem is places like Texas or Utah that just say bring in the data centers and wonder where did all the water go. You realize that for a little bit more cost, they could actually recycle the water and cool it and circulate it in order to do their cooling for their data centers rather than just waste it. But no, they don't. They're lazy because they know they're trying to grab the revenue out of tokens as fast as they can before they get caught up. So separate the data centers and the space carrying people from the tool, which allows artists and humans to do incredible things.
And I think so. It's also
there are legitimate uses.
I think so. Building on Dapper's point, it's very important to research what tools you're using and where they are originating from.
This is true.
It's very, very important. So
Good point.
I got to be honest with you. If I ever encounter an artist using Gen AI that I can detect, I will immediately unfollow you. I will block you. I will hide you on my YouTube feed. I just don't give a fuck.
So it depends, like if that artist is using their own produced work or if they're using someone else's work. That is, I think so. Do you think that distinction should matter, Dapper?
It should matter, but we're not at a point where I can reliably tell the difference. So
Sure.
I don't care because most people aren't doing that. So I'm not going to sit here and try to ask every single artist I come across,
Fair.
or let me rephrase, every single prompter I come across, because when you're using AI, you're not producing art. You're prompting a machine to make a facsimile of art.
Yeah. Okay.
I think
And
that's
so
an
because I don't have the
overgeneralization.
option,
Because I support artists who are using conversations with tools, using their own art that they draw, and
So-
using what the tools experienced to produce really great pieces of art.
in the abstract, in isolation,
Like-
that would be great and I would be okay with it. The problem that I have right now is that the number of people, like, okay, if I cast a net, because I cannot tell whether or not someone is using a local AI only trained on their own output, or if they're just using a publicly available copyright theft cancer machine. And I do
Let
know
me give you-
that the vast majority of the output is being made by copyright infringing cancer machines. So until
So
that
let me give you-
shifts, I don't. Let me just finish. Until that shifts, I don't have the capacity or the time to try to figure out who's doing what, and so I am just going to assume that you're using the cancer machine.
Yeah, I give you one example of where I think it's being used in a good way. Corridor Crew recently created a corridor key thing for removing green screens that can also handle transparent objects, unmixing color, removing things while maintaining motion blur, which is really an advancement in keying that we haven't seen any advancements for about 35 years. They trained it on a completely synthetic data set that they generated themselves, and it's
they asked people to
optimized,
contribute.
and it runs on a local machine.
Yeah. And I'm also not likely to be able to tell that you used that. And also, I am aware of that one. And
I think
also,
If I may.
follow the development. But that's not generative AI in the sense of like putting in a prompt and asking the computer to give me a picture of a thing. It is
Well, prompt is remove the background. It's just that it's invisible to you, but it is still generative AI.
Okay.
If you are using, here's a hint. If you're using Blender, you're using an AI tool. Get used to it.
Okay, so
It's true.
if I may, I think so. Abundance of Shrugs from the live chat said, I think an artist to use their own work to train an AI would mean they have their own personal model, which isn't likely to occur currently. Plus, again, what does that company do with whatever you are putting in that AI tool with your work? That is also
The same that humans do when you post their art and they're inspired by it and do other art.
No, but
Very similar.
Can other artists then who are just sitting in another country who don't, or another state who don't do any work or who don't provide any input to this sort of AI, are they using your work then to generate their own thing? That becomes like...
The pop music industry has done that for years. People that made real music like the blues had their works reappropriated to call it, progressive rock, right? That's kind of the music industry.
This was
Please go ahead,
the
Danny.
entire look at the music industry, like Vanilla Ice.
My point is, I get
all the
it.
lawsuits over
Led Zeppelin,
Yes.
built their work on the things. I wouldn't call Led Zeppelin theft. They are inspired by the blues. Artists are inspired by their artists. That's a notional thing.
Inspiration is fine, I think so, and there's a distinction between if you're picking up the same exact thing and just reusing it, or have you modified it, to what extent you have modified it, or you're just using it as an inspiration, right? That distinction.
And if you're using Photoshop, if you're using Blender, you're using AI tool, get used to it.
Yeah, that is fine.
Pretty much every artistic tool
basic.
has had AI in it in some form.
Blender
since before it was a buzzword.
Using Blender and using AI to generate something new, there are two entirely different things. I think so we can agree on that. I'll just finish reading the article and then we will move on, and then we will finalize and finish with the segment, because we are reaching the 2 hour
We'll
mark.
have to have a debate about this. Go deep sometime.
That will be good. I think so. That will be good with Chesh. I don't know where she is. She left. Chesh, come back.
There's supposed to be there's supposed to be a thing about AI. I'm hoping, Danny, that you might not be able to join that debate.
Okay, so reading this, let's look actually what happened here. Okay, let's chabuk. Okay, a German quote. No, don't be sorry. It's okay. I'm just trying to keep everyone to time.
I'm not like pro the bad AI. To be fair, I just think that there's some nuance.
Okay. All right, got it. Noted. All right, this one. A German court ruled on Friday that AI music firm Suno violated copyrights and has to disclose illicit revenue, part of a wider legal battle by artists and publishers against technology firms. The Munich-based regional court said Suno did not have the right to process songs by artists represented by Germany's state-mandated licensing agency GEMA. According to the verdict, which can be appealed before a higher court, Suno will have to pay damages that have yet to be quantified. Quote, this is the verdict of global significance, unquote, GEMA CEO Tobias Holzmuller told Reuters. Suno said that it disagreed with the ruling and would evaluate all available options, including an appeal. GEMA sued Suno's use of free music on Alphabet's, whatever that is, Google.o, YouTube, from a number of artists, including Alphaville, the band behind 1980s hits, quote-unquote, Forever Young and quote-unquote, Big in Japan. The German government's culture representative, Wolfram Weimer, called the verdict an important signal to support creators' rights in the digital music industry. So this is what I'm talking about. They just picked the whole thing and then decided to just put it through the AI, whatever thing was, and then produce a song. And then they didn't share the profits or anything. That's what my thing is also. And damages, that's there too. Quote, "We need a regulatory framework that strengthens innovation and creativity," unquote, he said in the statement. So they're all for innovation and creativity, but it's about, you got to support the artists and creators also. Massachusetts, it's Massachusetts-based Suno. Why is it Massachusetts? Valued at $5.4 billion in a June funding round. This is what the thing is. Where is that $5.4 billion funding going? Are the artists getting any part of it? That's my question. Allows users to generate songs via prompts. That's the problem that Dapper was talking about.
So one of the things I'll tell you what the problem with Suno and Udio both are. When they both launched, they allowed people to do generative things. But you used to do multi-track generation. You could generate bed tracks for things, build on them, have full creative control. And the person who was creating something on the other end owned their output. Then one of the larger record labels, I believe maybe Universal, came along and hostile took over these companies, bought them, and started scooping up the products and saying that the outputs people were making were owned by Universal, I believe. I might be wrong on Universal, but one of the large music industry things. And this comes back to the predatory music industry that's already existing is scooping up these tools and taking them away from artists that were using them artistically.
And also we saw, right, that like Dapper was saying, generating songs via prompts. And then what that prompt is doing is, like they said, they just picked up, YouTube from a number of, they picked up free music, from YouTube, from a number of artists, including Alphaville, the band, and then just use that to produce something via prompts. So that is not fair on the artists who produce that music.
If you are inspired by the Beatles and write songs that are inspired by the Beatles, you're not stealing from McCartney and
Landon, you gotta be fair. You gotta be fair. You're not writing that song yourself. You're asking an AI to write that song for you, using the AI prompt.
No, not necessarily.
That is not fair, in my opinion. That's what I would say.
That's not how it works, though. I don't think that you know how it works. Number one of the points of nuance with this ruling, because I have followed it. It's not that the company was grabbing these things and training the model on it. It's that they allowed users to upload their own guide tracks. And so people could grab a song off of YouTube, upload it to the tool themselves, and use it as a style guide. But this wasn't the company's doing. This was individual artists did this. And then they claimed that it was being enabled. So it's a little bit more nuanced than that. And like you see this in the rap industry for years, they've taken existing music, cut it up into samples, used the samples from other people's work, dropped a bass line and a drum beat on it and rapped over it. You could say they stole their bass line, they stole their music, but they're still transformative and they're creating something new. So it's not all that different.
I don't know. We might have to look.
There's some nuance there.
We might have to look at a little more into it, but that's what it says here. Allows users to generate songs via prompts. So that's what. But that's
the algorithm. I would point out, by the way, folks. See, we're not all singing the same tune.
No.
This is something, and I hope that when this thing, I don't know, because someone said it'll be next week, but is next week this week or next week, depending on you're Australia or not. It is. I hope that will contribute to that thing, because I think there is some passion, but there's also some viewpoints to consider, because it's a little bit more nuanced than just, this is bad. Unlike cryptocurrency.
So we disagree, right? And I understand where Dapper is coming from. That's why I'm trying to put his point forward as much as I can. So yeah. Okay, so what's going on? I'll just finish reading this and then we'll move ahead and we'll start wrapping everything up. So I will let Dapper also say something about this after I finish reading.
No, I got nothing.
You got nothing? You sure?
Yep.
Okay, cool. In various litigation proceedings, AI music companies have been accused of failing to compensate the composers. More than 1,800 artists are supporting the class action lawsuits against Suno and Peer Udio. So that's a big thing. That finishes that. Go on, sorry, Landon.
And I say that I hope that every fan fiction Star Wars thing pays George Lucas his dues, and every fan fiction Star Trek pays Gene Roddenberry their dues, because if you go down that line, that's what you're doing. I think inspiration is the best form of flattery.
I don't
And
know,
just so
with
you know-
AI, it's like inspiration. That's the thing, right? I think that inspiration word is being unfairly used by these big companies who own these AI platforms when they're using allowing their people to use other people's music without any compensation.
I would point out, at least with Udio, because I did just check to confirm it, there's a bit of a bait and switch happening where they want you to get you really mad at AI companies and say, Udio is an AI company, be really mad. They are owned by Universal Music. So if you want to be mad at a company,
So-
it's Universal Music.
Sure. I get it. AI is just a tool. I get it. It's the people who are using the tool. That is fine. I agree with it. That's why it's very important that we just don't let it go out of hand. We need to really, 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 really track it, in my opinion. All right. I will do one last one because we have been, really passionate about this topic also. So the last one that I want to do is, here we are. Oh, National Institutes of Health Journal. Oh my God, I found a journal article. Okay, so new blood-based biomarkers predict when ALS symptoms will emerge. A panel of proteins could help match ideal candidates with preventative trials. Months of several years before amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS symptoms arise, levels of certain blood proteins may dramatically shift. Researchers analyzed data from the long-running National Institute of Health funded pre-symptomatic familial ALS, pre-FALS study to identify a lineup of key proteins that may predict emergence of clinically manifest ALS. By participating in the arrival of symptoms, investigators could intervene with the preventative therapies before the irreversible motor neuron damage that is characteristic of ALS sets in. Quote, if someone carrying an ALS-associated genetic variant had asked me in the past when they would become symptomatic, I would have struggled to provide a reasonable estimate, unquote, said the senior author Michael Benatar, MD, PhD, a professor of neurology and public health sciences at the University of Miami. Quote, these biomarkers give us a far better idea of the timing, allowing us to estimate the time to symptom onset with an average error of about 18 months. That's something we can work with, unquote. For nearly 20 years, the pre-FALS study, 20 years, guys, led by Benatar and Joanne Wu, SEM, research associate professor of neurology and public health sciences at the University of Miami, has collected data and biological samples from people who are at significantly elevated genetic risk for ALS, but have not yet progressed or phenoconverted to the disease. While this cohort is unique, permitting the examination of pre-symptomatic ALS, recent studies suggest that findings from pre-FALS are likely relevant to broader population. In 2017, an analysis of 10 pre-FALS participants who had developed symptoms showed that neurofilament light chain, a structural protein in neurons, spiked in their blood in the months preceding ALS phenoconversion. So I think that's pretty good news.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I thought I would end on something more lighter, if we could. And I think so now we
Yes, because nothing is lighter than ALS.
Hey, it's good progress. God dang it. You have to, don't spoil it for me.
I'm just teasing you, Manya.
I'm so happy, and this dinosaur coming and trampling on my happiness. Look at this. It's like, oh my God. Nah, I get it, Dapper, it's fine. Okay, so, thank you everyone for coming, but before we round everything up, if either Danny or Landon would like to give us some updates around Daria and her mother, Alutina. Thanks.
Danny, can you start?
Ooh, yeah. I guess where is people left off with that? So
I think so. There's a hearing on
over-
12th of August.
Does people know where to start, first of all?
Yeah.
Well, let's assume that they've seen the interview that's public on my channel and also, I believe, on this channel. And if you haven't, go watch that.
Please.
Yeah, trigger warning.
Yeah, good point. I should have said that.
It's sad. It's a very sad story. Yeah, they do have a hearing on the 12th. There's been some movement. There has been some of the mainstream media, particularly some of the local mainstream media, Bay City News, Fox 2, a few others have picked up some written articles and some video articles. So it's starting to gain traction as a story, which hopefully some of that outrage, I guess, that is being generated can help drive some actual change. I know that currently the strategy is kind of get towards national media and some of the independent media. So I guess one thing that people could do is to use some of those local news interviews and try to catch the attention of some of the other creators out there, like the MTN network or some of the other independent sort of law tube areas, because right now there is a need to bring on additional legal representation for this particular issue, which is not fully sorted out, although there's some progress happening behind the scenes. But both Daria and her mother are trying to keep their spirits up and keep hopeful, in spite of this being a situation that it doesn't matter how fast it gets sorted out, it'll always be too slow because it should have never happened in the first place. Landon?
I would say that so Daria is fighting for her mom's life, and I'm not joking. Her mom is in serious medical conditions, and the ICE jailers don't care. You have a lady who has difficulty, walking. The doctors think she'll have maybe 5 years left before she loses all her legs use. She is a person who has difficult seeing, has hearing problems and other medical issues. You can see it on the bringmymomhome.com site. There's documented and stuff. And the cruelty of the cowards that are in ICE don't care. There's a person who has trouble. They put their hand on the wall to try to not fall over as they're going down to try to get for lunch or dinner, and they're forced to go up into a top bunk and crawl up a ladder. Sometimes they can't do it; they have to sleep on the floor in a cell that's kept at 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and she has very minimal clothing. And the reason why she has minimal clothing is that she can't even see the tablet to order something, which if she does order, they say it might come next week if they don't have other things to do. The kind of treatment that Daria's mom is under, if this was a prisoner of war, would be a Geneva war crime, in my opinion. She was somebody whose status was upfront. They were doing everything proper. The asylum process was well along in the thing. They had a point where they gave her the federal government gave her a work permit, allowed her to file for a Real ID driver's license. And because some douchebag ICE coward wanted to get a little bit of up on their quotas for arresting people, they've been going to airports, domestic airports, finding people that don't look American, don't look white male, and asking them for papers. Now you might think you're American and say, well, that never happened to me, but could you prove you're American? If people that claim to be ICE that don't show ID surround you, could you prove you're there? Because if you can't to their satisfaction and you look like you might be a one pick, you will be arrested, put into a detention center, and moved to a different federal district so your family and your friends can't find you. You'll find that your access to attorney, you think you have a right to an attorney? No. Under ICE detention, you are screwed.
Yeah, so that's the thing.
Even though you
This happening in your name.
an American, born and raised, it might take weeks, if not months, to get you out, even if you have every right to be out because of the way the system is built. It's really quite a horrific state of events. I do think, though, if life were an RPG, ICE agents would probably be weak against flamethrowers.
Yep. And so one of the things you can do in watching these videos, and by the way, the video, the reaction video that was done by Manya is very painful to watch. Trigger warning, but she did, I think, a good dissection of the thing. By the way, I'm hoping that she will do a follow-up because there's more things happening. There's more, sadly, but the thing I would say is that if you think you're safe, just wait. I'm quite serious. If you're in the United States, do not go to an airport.
Don't travel
Period.
via airport domestically.
Don't because see the ICE agents, the number of ICE agents, there's more ICE agents than all the other federal police forces combined. There's more ICE agents than the FBI, DEA, Secret Service, all those DEA. There's more agents than there, and they are desperate to try to fill their quotas for their Proud Boy, insurrectionist asshole directors who say, I want you to have a certain number of things. So all someone has to do is to say, I think so-and-so might be, here's how you get there. And if you show up on the list and you are dare go to an airport, you will pass TSA security. They'll be happy. But then you'll get people who don't identify themselves to surround you, and you will disappear. And unless you have lots of friends working hard, you will disappear. There are people in that Louisiana jail who a judge has said release them, and the department says nope. Right? There are over 1 million, probably closer to 2 million people in these concentration camps. Let's not get on the bush. This is not isolation. These are concentration camps. That if there were prisoners of war, these jailers would be violating Geneva conventions. And if you think as an American you're safe, you are wrong. So please do not travel in the United States in an airport. Stay from airports. Do not go. It's not worth it. Even if you think, well, I'm American. No, because ICE agents don't give a damn whether you're legal or not. They just see you as a potential target. If you look slightly...
If they don't like you and they can disappear you for 6 convoluted bureaucracy rat maze that they've created, then they will.
Danny, you broke up a little bit on my end. I'm not sure if that happened for everyone else.
It happened on
Please,
my end too.
please say again, Danny.
Oh, I just said, look, if they don't like you and they want to disappear you for 6 months and make you try to navigate the rat maze of bureaucracy that's been created, then that's where you're. Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. So, don't take the risk.
Call your airline. If you have tickets, call your airline and say, I'm sorry, I don't feel safe. Refund my ticket.
Yeah.
And I'm telling airlines, again, understand, the airline that was going to take Daria and her mom back from Buffalo after seeing the Niagara Falls, they're not at fault. They're the ones that by the ICE agents. But the airports are being managed by those ICE people. Do not, and they don't identify themselves until
they're
it's too late.
They're sharing information with the TSA now, apparently.
Yeah.
And, the other way around. TSA is sharing information with them.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was scratched.
Yeah, they're trying. Yeah, your stuff. So if your name sounds slightly foreign or slightly black, you are a potential target, and it doesn't matter. Well, I'm an American. They don't give a damn.
Yeah.
Don't go to airports. Don't fly. Don't. Just don't. Because right now, because that's one of the prime targets they're looking for of people. They're desperate to fill their quotas.
If I'm not, I think in the end, it will be important that we spread this story as much as possible. I put in the links to Daria's interview with local news. If guys can spread it around, and please do it with accuracy and with as much, don't harass anyone, don't do anything of that sort. Let's do it by the book so that it becomes really difficult for all the officials and all the senators or local officials to ignore. So that's the also, home point. Sorry. Yes, Dapper, go on.
Also, if you're going to make any statements in any kind of public forum, please don't go beyond what has been stated publicly. Don't speculate. Yeah. Even if you think you know something, about treatment or the status of the asylum case or anything like that, if it hasn't been put out publicly by the Sobolevas, please don't say it.
Yep.
Yeah. Don't do
They've
that.
been remarkably
but
transparent,
you can.
more so than many. So
It really is important. Take that video. There's a marvelous interview that was done between Daria and Dapper. Share that video. That helps. Sunshine is things that these cocksucking cockroaches don't like. So you can make a difference by
Alliteration.
just sharing it. I'm
Also,
serious.
I want to point out, when I tell people to share this, I have monetization deactivated. The only way I can make money from that is if someone gives a super thanks, which I'm not asking for. So it actually does not make me money to share that. I put that up on my channel because I want to help and not because I want to make money from it. And I am not making money from it, with the exception that one person did put in a $5 super thanks, which again is nowhere asked for. So when I say please share it, it is not because I want to make money off of this.
No, we
because
want
I'm not
the-
going to.
and the website too. There's zero fundraising on the website. There's zero monetization from this of any kind. There's no one profiting from anything. So
Yep. Daria is my former student. I had the privilege of having her work for me for a year. She is stunningly brilliant in her skills. She is a valuable asset to the United States, to the point where she got a visa. She got a visa of stuff and a green card, because the government said she is a national treasure. She is amazing in what she does. And her mother came to support her, to do things like, for a
settle
couple
down.
weeks to support her,
Yeah.
to cook for her and things like that, while she was trying to navigate the Silicon Valley. And
especially during
after
COVID.
she left my studentship, and was here, and then all of a sudden Putin invades Ukraine yet again, because he's done it at least twice. And the relatives who live here in the United States said it's not safe to go home because of where they live. We'll just say that. And so they applied for an asylum. They have an asylum lawyer. They've been going through multiple years. She had a hearing scheduled to move that application along. It's not like somebody who snuck across the border and was
Or
doing those
overstayed
things.
their
She was
visa. She didn't do all that at all. She followed
She did
it.
everything right.
Asylum before
And-
the visa expired.
Yes, and it was due to the change of circumstances. So there are many people like her who seek asylum. There are many people, yes, who come in through via very unfortunate circumstances to look for asylum. But even people who look for asylum due to, continuous change in international, situations that happen, wars that happen, they are also not being given the courtesy of due process. So
Also, I want to point out,
Please, go ahead.
you're allowed to request asylum even on an expired visa.
yes, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
So even
Yes,
if she
yes.
had overstayed her visa, it wouldn't fucking matter.
Yeah,
And also, you know what level of offense overstaying your visa is? It's not even a misdemeanor.
it's not a crime.
It's an infraction.
Yeah.
It is the federal equivalent of a fucking parking ticket.
Yeah, it's because
It
it's
does
more
not.
like a civil infraction.
Unless you've been previously deported, I think.
Well, okay,
And so-
but generally that's not the case that's going on here. Most of the
Yeah.
people who are being
Yeah.
captured on and thrown in fucking concentration camps because they overstayed a visa are being put in concentration camps for a quote-unquote offense that amounts to parking in the wrong spot. Should you do that? No, probably not. But should you get thrown in a fucking torture camp for it? Also, obviously not.
And understand, I'll give you a little bit of insight into Daria's mom. This is a lady who is in a concentration camp levels things. And one thing she's telling her daughter is, hey, there's other people here. You need to help them too, right? People that show acts of kindness, like somebody who is given 2 ibuprofens, takes one and slips it to her because they know she's suffering, so that she's able to get it. Because if the guards catch them sharing stuff, they take it away.
Yeah.
This is the lady who is in that type of prison situation. are in a similar situation. So that's a calibration of this person, this wonderful lady, that she is also worried about her fellow prisoners who are being, in some cases, even worse situation. People that no one knows are there, they have no family to speak for, and we are not going to forget those that have shown Daria's mom just even a little bit of kindness that they're allowed to do.
Landon, you're muted apparently. Some people are saying.
No,
because
it's
Monty is a professional.
yeah, it's my end. It's back now.
Did
Sorry.
So, Landon, you might have to
Did I-
repeat that.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
But where should I think I should, back to the character of the mom?
30 seconds. They
Yes.
said.
Yeah, probably.
So again, as I say, she is a type of person, even though she's in this concentration level stuff, she's telling her daughter, there's other people here who are worse off than me, who are dying, who no one speaks for. They've been released by a judge and they're still here, and they need help too. This is the type of lady we're talking about. Says, don't forget these other people. We need to remember those prisoners, especially the ones that have shown Daria's mom a little level of kindness, like slipping her an ibuprofen because they got 2 and they only needed 1, or a little bit of clothing. There's things that people have done. The prisoners in that concentration camp have been trying to take care of each other because that's all they have. And Daria's mom is a person that says, I appreciate you trying to get me out, but also there are other people here even worse than I am.
She still has hope. She still has hope for
She has
herself and
humanity.
other people. So we need to make sure that hope doesn't, wither away. So please share this as much as possible wherever you can, on any forums that you think might be possible. I actually went to
Tag national networks.
Yeah. I
tag
even went to
autistic people.
I even went to the anti-Katie Joy Discord server to just put it there.
Hey,
Just cause.
why not?
Yeah, because I'm sure they will empathize with this. And so, okay.
Well, maybe.
Yeah. All right. Well, they did say fuck ice.
Any other
So
things, Danny? Anything to add, or Dapper?
I guess the only thing I can think of is, hey, if on the off chance you're watching this and you are part of the MAGA coalition, although I understand that it is a shrinking group of Americans, I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that you are some kind of Christian, because that's the vast majority of you. And I want to point out that one of the most consistent things that the Bible has to say about anything, one of the few extremely consistent messages that you can get out of the Bible that really there's no debate about, is what's called the prophetic critique. And this is something that comes out of especially a lot of the minor prophets and follows through into the New Testament, into the Gospels, and into many of the epistles. And the prophetic critique is a critique of religious establishment and particularly visibly pious people who want to go around proclaiming how righteous they are and how observant they are and how they are following every little commandment, but also ignoring the plight of the prisoner, the foreigner, the widow, the orphan. And those are specific categories that are called out by name in the Bible. So on the off chance that you're watching this and you're in the MAGA coalition, what I want you to think about is, am I following the consistent through line from the prophets all the way to Jesus to the apostles that says one of my primary concerns, one of the things that God will judge me on, is how I treat the orphan, the widow, the foreigner, and the prisoner. And when it says foreigner and prisoner, it doesn't make distinctions. It doesn't say people who are wrongfully imprisoned. It doesn't say people who were foreigners in your country that followed certain laws. It just says the foreigner and the prisoner. There are no qualifications on that. And if you think that you are in fact following and advocating for things that follow that consistent message throughout the Bible while being in the MAGA base, I don't know what to tell you, because it seems pretty obvious that you're not. And maybe that's something to consider. Maybe pray about it, since you're probably a praying type.
all right. Thanks, Dapper. We will wrap it up for today now. Thank you everyone for coming. And thank you for the passionate discussions. Thank you very much. Thanks for Daddy for coming in and bearing with us.
Being a virtual goblin.
Yeah.
Canadian goblin.
Yeah, and I will finish here. Thank you, everyone, and have a nice day, afternoon, night, wherever you are in whichever time zone. And yeah, cheers, everyone. Say
Ice must be a baller.
Yes.
Everyone, say bye.
Bye.
Ice must be a baller. That was tough.
Yeah. I'm glad that there's a hearing.